It's Karine from the Crew Coach. Lovely to be back at Yachting International Radio and speaking about your mental health. So today's topic is going to be about burnout. So I will make reference to my experience of burnout, so it puts into context for you guys. And I'll talk about what the definition is and the signs and what you can do to prevent burnout. So the definition of burnout, it has to do with a stress condition, so an ongoing severe stress condition that what happens, it creates stress on the emotional, physical, and mental parts of your well-being. So in terms of giving you context to where I come from, I was an ex-yachtee myself, and I had experienced burnout, but I had no idea what burnout was, what it meant, just because of the nature of the work, working 12 hours a day. I just thought I was really fatigued, and that was normal. But I remember waking up on a break, a 15-minute break, and having a nap, and I was a bit delirious. I didn't know what day it was, what time it was, and that contributed to sheer physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. And my background, prior to yachting, I studied degrees in human behavior and then continued studying and working in the field of human behavior after that for the past 15 years. So I'm just going to give you a bit of context. I've worked with children, and I've also worked with prisoners and obviously crew. And I experienced burnout, I'd say at least 5 times in my career. So you'd think I would learn how to manage it by now, but it just creeps up on you so quickly before you even realize it. With regards to burnout, I'm going to start off with the signs. So the first one is exhaustion, where you're physically and emotionally depleted. So you might struggle to get up in the mornings. You might not feel like doing your normal routine, whether it's going for a walk or those sort of day-to-day activities. And then we've got isolation. So that's just when you don't want to hang out with your friends, you'd rather be alone. And I certainly experienced that working in a prison on my weekends. On a Saturday, I'd want to stay safe in my bedroom amongst 4 walls because I couldn't fathom connecting with others and giving more energy than what I was currently giving to the prisoners. Then we've got escape fantasies. Now, I'm sure you can all relate to this. This is when we imagine going to a beautiful destination, or sometimes in my case, when I was ultra stressed, I'd crave a glass of wine where I could just chill out and relax. So that's escape fantasies. Then we've got irritability. So with the nature of the work that I was doing, I was working with criminals who were in for very, very serious crimes, and it was crisis intervention. So I'd hear really hectic stories one after the other and provide treatment to them. And then when it came to my weekends and I'd catch up with my friends, the issues that they were bringing to me, it was quite difficult for me to have the ability to be present and listen. I would get really irritable and frustrated because I was dealing, in my eyes, I felt the problems were so much bigger. So that has to do with irritability. So that's another sign. Then frequent illness. So for me, when I would go home for a holiday or just take any sort of vacation, as soon as I would relax, then I would get sick. So I was working on hyper alert. So that's when your body is just, and your mind's just all about go, go, go at a hectic pace, that as soon as you relax, then the bugs and the germs kick in and then you get sick. So now I'm going to move on to the 12 stages, and I'm just going to refer to about 7 that I think that would be relatable to you. So the first one is excessive drive and ambition. And would be relatable to green crew, when you want to prove yourself and do really, really well at your job and be recognized for the work that you do. So for myself, when I first started working in the prison, I literally would sleep with a textbook like that big, and it was very intense. I got this job 2 years before even finishing my degree, and I felt a lot of pressure to perform. So I was just going as fast as I could in terms of absorbing as much information and performing at a high level. Then you've got pushing yourself to work harder. So this relates again to ambition. So you want to prove yourself. It's just, maybe it's an attribute that you normally have, and that is ambition and wanting to work hard. And I can relate to this because when I was probably about the age of 10, I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was terrible at maths. So I'd read maths textbooks so I could be on par with everyone else by the time the new year started for school. Then you've got neglecting your own needs. Okay, I'm also terrible at this. I tend to put others' needs before my own, and it's really difficult to take time out to maybe have a good meal or go for a walk. I tend to delay it. So my intention is to go for a walk first thing in the morning, but then work takes over and I get distracted, and then I go, oh, I'll do it later, and then I don't do it. The other thing is displacement of conflict. So this is really interesting. This is when you are aware you're pushing yourself. Well, instead of being aware that you're pushing yourself, too hard, you blame your boss. Maybe you say it's my workload, it's too much, or my colleagues are causing me drama, it's their fault. So you're not acknowledging that you're the one who's pushing yourself too hard. It's everyone else's fault. Then we've got no time for non-work related activities. So you may delay hanging out with your friends. You might cancel on your friends. You might find going to a social event too overwhelming because you just think about work the whole time, or your to-do list that you need to do for the next day. So yeah, that's another thing that you need to be mindful of. So as soon as you start noticing these sort of behaviors happening, that's your cue to pull back and introduce self-care into your life. Then we've got, this one is also good. So this is mental and physical collapse. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Arianna Huffington. So she's written the book Thrive, and it talks about burnout there. And she was she was a fantastic businesswoman, and she was really on the go all the time. She would have her mobile in her room in the middle of the night and start texting people, and she wouldn't get enough rest. And what happened, she collapsed, I believe, in a public space, and that was her cue that she needed to take time out for herself, so she left it too late. Another thing is inner emptiness or anxiety. So you know that feeling of hopelessness, or what am I doing with my life? Like you don't get any joy in what you're doing, and you might look for a substitute such as drinking or taking drugs. So that's what inner emptiness and anxiety is about and what it can lead to. So how to prevent burnout? There's a lot of things that you can do, and I'm sure we're all aware of them, but we just don't practice it. So first one that comes to mind for me is journaling. So putting down your stresses on paper so it doesn't do head miles when you think of the reoccurring thought over and over again. The other thing is eating a balanced meal. So you guys are so lucky working on board, because I'm sure that I've had good and bad experiences actually, but I think these chefs nowadays are very conscious of having fresh and healthy food and being very creative with their meals. So yeah, you guys can utilize that opportunity instead of worrying about what am I going to cook and is this going to be fresh and all that. You don't have to worry about it. Someone else is taking care of that for you. Then we've got good sleeping habits. So obviously working on board, you do long hours, and it might be hard to sustain a routine depending on what guests you have on board, and also when you do charters and it's back to back. But look, you can do sleep hygiene, and that includes not having any devices in your room, so you're not tempted in the middle of the night to check Facebook or Instagram. And instead of being on your phone before going to sleep, rather read a book. So that's something that you can implement, and that will really make a difference in your sleep. Another good thing you could take is melatonin. So I'm not too sure, there's different restrictions in whatever country that you're in about accessing melatonin. I know here in Australia, you've got to get a script to be able to get that. And another thing, which is really, really important, is if you feel yourself experiencing all these symptoms, is to reach out for help and talk to either your head of department. I understand that it may be a bit difficult because there's an expectation for you guys to perform. So you may be shy to ask for help, but then maybe stay in touch with your network outside of yachting and reach out for help from them, and just have someone that you can rely on and vent what's going on for you. And if you need to see a GP, then ask your head of department to book an appointment for you. And the other thing is you can connect with a counsellor. There's obviously ICE1, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and I offer counselling as well. And so there's a lot of people out there that really care about you guys, so be open to connecting and asking for help. So that's me, the crew coach, Karine, on Yachting International Radio. I hope you find these tips very helpful to you. And before I forget, I just want to mention that we are doing a 21-day meditation challenge on the 4th of November. So it's done with Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey, and they offer a 21-day free meditation challenge. So it's going to be scripted. There's a beautiful passage in the beginning, and then they do a mantra as well. So it's really, really effective. I've been doing it for about 7 years, and you can sign up on my Instagram page. There's a link there, and I'll give you all the details. So yeah, come join us. It's going to be great fun. And yeah, looking forward to tuning in with you guys next week. Okay, ciao for now. Bye.